Welcome back, mamas. Y'all, today we are going to talk about growth. We are going to talk about a way that you can grow for the better, become a better version of yourself. To grow in this life, sometimes we have to do some things that might be uncomfortable, and we're going to get into that today. So let's get to it. Do you wish you had control of your days, that you had a rhythm, but instead feel overwhelmed, scattered, and like there's never enough time? You're in the right place. I'm Danielle, a recovering workaholic, wife, and stay-at-home mom of 2 girls. I've learned how to reclaim my time and find purpose and freedom so I can be present with my kids and feel like myself again. Here, we embrace where we are, but we don't stay there. So if you're ready to trade the chaos for clarity, the guilt for grace, and the endless to-do list for aligned flow, grab the kiddos a snack and toss in that laundry because I know you're multitasking, and let's do this because your time, your purpose, and you matter. Okay, mamas. So today I want to talk to you a little bit about being uncomfortable and how we can use this in a way that will actually push us forward, how we can actually take that feeling of discomfort, recognize it, and then use it as a catalyst to grow. So, you know how I always talk about things that are within my life. And this week, my daughters are both trying out for their school plays, and they are both trying out for the lead in the play, okay? Which is really stressful, right? To get the lead in the play and to know you have to memorize all the lines. And so trying out is also, it's a uncomfortable thing when you have to go and you have to get judged and they're writing down things about you while you're doing the tryout and things like that. And so, in working with my children on helping them prepare for this, I have been getting them voice lessons because both of the plays are musicals and they both love to sing. They both love to act. They love to do it and they are comfortable in that role. However, when you get put into a situation where all eyes are on you, you become uncomfortable, right? It is an uncomfortable situation unless you make yourself comfortable, right? And so I'm going to start with a quote here, and then I'll tell a little bit about a story that led to this podcast. And it is from Michael Port, and it said, "We need to be willing to be comfortable with discomfort in order to grow." We need to be willing to be comfortable with discomfort in order to grow. And one of my daughters is with a instructor, a voice teacher, that is kind of pushing her buttons. She is not loving the style of this music instructor. She feels like the exercises are strange and she feels kind of stupid doing some of the things that the voice teacher is asking her to do. And they are really strange things. They are not something that I would ever say to warm your voice up or to open you up more or to get your true voice to come out better. There are exercises and things that she was asking my daughter to do who was not okay with it. And you could just tell by her posture, just by her facial expressions when she did shoot me a look that she was super uncomfortable with what this teacher was asking her to do. But as I was trying to explain to her, after the session, is that when you're comfortable, a lot of times that's not when you grow, right? That the coach's job, the teacher's job is to push you to a level where they know you're going to be better, right? But you're not necessarily comfortable there. And the reason that I wanted to talk about this as mothers is because a lot of times we aren't comfortable doing things that we should be doing or that we would like to do or that we deserve, but they may feel uncomfortable to us. And we need to remember that in order to be growing as a mom, as a woman, as a person, as a wife, we need to do things that cause us a little bit of discomfort. And we need to be willing to be comfortable with them, to get comfortable with them. I had another quote here from Conor McGregor that says, "The more you seek the uncomfortable, the more you will become comfortable." right? The more that you do something that is uncomfortable, the more it becomes comfortable. And so, as a mom, some of the things that I feel like sometimes we can feel uncomfortable about is like doing self care, caring for yourself, like being comfortable taking time for yourself, prioritizing yourself, recognizing that you deserve some self care, right? You deserve maybe a massage, or rest could be something that you are uncomfortable with. And I talked about that last week about how I can be so uncomfortable when I am resting, yet rest and reflection is something that can propel you forward. Self care is also something that we can feel guilty about doing. Like you can feel guilty about going and taking a time away from your child in order to work out, or in order to get a massage or get your nails done or something like that, right? But being comfortable with the uncomfortable so that you can fill your cup, so that you can get that rest and reflection, so you can do these things that actually make you a better mom, right? Or give you what you need in order to become a better person. Some other things that I kind of was jotting these down before we started that you can be uncomfortable with: writing in a journal, right? Either it be a gratitude journal, or and that can be uncomfortable to try to think of things that you're grateful for. Like when I first started doing my gratitude journals, it was kind of hard to come up with something that you were grateful for, right? Like I could just come up with like my kids and, things that you always would think of. But then when I really started taking the time to do it every single day, I started recognizing things that I was grateful for. And when you are grateful, you have a grateful heart, you start to become a happier person, right? And so taking the time to do that starts out uncomfortable, but then it winds up being this thing that is so life-giving. It is so productive to be a grateful person and to have a grateful heart, right? And you start looking for things to be grateful for. Affirmations is another thing where those start out when you start doing them. These are like I am statements, like I am in control and I create my own reality. That's one that I say often. Another one is just I am an amazing mother. You can say it as I am an amazing wife. I am an amazing friend. I am an amazing daughter. These are affirmations. There's so many different affirmations. We could do a whole episode on just affirmations. I should probably do another one here soon, but this is something that can be uncomfortable for us when we start to say them. But then once you start to say it to yourself over and over and over again, it gets to be more comfortable and you actually kind of become that thing, right? That's the reason that you're saying it, is because you want to be, let's just say it, and it's an amazing mother, but you don't technically right now, you don't feel like the most amazing mother, right? So we say that so that you can also say, like, if you don't truly believe it, it's hard to say it. So you can say, I am becoming an amazing mother, right? Until you feel comfortable saying, I am an amazing mother, right? Which, let me just say, you should feel comfortable saying, I am an amazing mother right now. But if you're not there, those are some ways where you can start to be comfortable with that. Another thing is apologizing, right? Sometimes when we blow up at our kids or things like that, we can have a hard time apologizing because we don't know the exact words to say, or we don't want them to think that we are this or that or the other thing, right? And so it can be hard to apologize to our kids, to our spouse, anyone, right? Like some people have a hard time apologizing in general, but apologizing is so important, especially to your children, if you do something that needs to be apologized for, right? And that teaches them how to apologize. It teaches them good behaviors. It teaches them that you are capable of apologizing. And when you make mistakes, right? And so it's okay for them to make mistakes. Meditating, praying. I talked about journaling already, but these are things where you're getting still. And sometimes we don't feel worthy of taking the time to do those things. Or, like I said, we're uncomfortable in that rest or in that reflection, like for meditating or praying or journaling. Asking for help. That's another thing where I know a lot of us can feel so uncomfortable asking for help, but that is such an important thing to flex. And then it becomes easier over time to ask for help that you need, right? Saying no, that's another thing. Saying no can feel really hard, especially when it's something that you've said yes to many times before. And then someone asks you and you don't have the capacity for it, but you almost fall back into the trap of saying yes, but you need to say no. So getting comfortable with saying no. Planning, that's another thing where I used to resist planning, right? I would resist it, but I knew it was something I needed to do. But until I started taking the baby steps in order to plan, I resisted that and I was super uncomfortable planning. I was super uncomfortable putting together a schedule or planning, but really it is so important and so impactful. So these are just some things that I have written down that can be uncomfortable, but that you should take the time to get comfortable with so that you become that mom that you want to be, right? I want to end with one more quote here, and this is from Joe Vitale, and it says, "Uncomfortable doesn't mean bad. Uncomfortable simply means you're doing something that you haven't done before." You're doing something that that you either haven't done before at all, ever, or that you're not used to doing, right? Uncomfortable doesn't necessarily mean bad. It can be something that is actually good and good for you. Now, there are definitely times, I'm sure, where you're uncomfortable and it is because something is bad. But with all of these things, a lot of times we're just resisting them because they're new to us. They are something that we're not used to doing. But I want to tell you from experience, these things are all amazing things to start to do, and they really do help you to become the mom that you want to be, to become the wife and the person, the woman that you want to be by doing these things, and to be able to enjoy your life the way that you want to live it. And when we don't know what is important to us, that is another thing that is probably uncomfortable, is figuring out like where our priorities are. We're just going through life the way that we've always done things, or the way that we think we should do things, or the way that we see other people doing things. When we take the time to get still and get clear on what it is that we want, that can sometimes feel uncomfortable, right? We aren't used to maybe prioritizing ourselves and what we want. And when we take that even deeper to what our family wants and our family needs, that's where this work really, really gets powerful. Because once we do that, once we figure out what is important to us, what is important to our family, what is important for us at this season of our life, then we can prioritize things. Then we can have this filter to filter things through. And sometimes that can be very uncomfortable. I know for me, I kind of just thought that I was okay, right? I was okay until I wasn't. And then I was really realizing that I was not okay, but I was still trying to, spin all these plates, keep all these balls in the air that I thought were going to make me happy, and they just weren't. And I didn't understand why. I was so unsettled. I was so scattered. I was so busy, yet I thought I should be happy and I wasn't. And I didn't understand any of it. And it was because I wasn't the same person that I used to be, but I was uncomfortable like peeling back the layers of the onion to figure out what that looked like now. Like, where do I go? How do I figure out what I do want? Am I ever going to be happy again? These were all things that I was searching for and was just not knowing why I was so uncomfortable. At this point in time, the uncomfortable that I was a bad place to be, right? But taking the action to do all of these things that I've just talked about and to figure out what's important to you and why, those are all things that are going to push you out of your comfort zone in a way that is stretching you to the good, right? The fact that you're uncomfortable right now is probably a bad thing, but it's also a good thing in that it is telling you, your body is telling you, your mind is telling you, you are uncomfortable. Let's do something about this, right? Like, let's not just sit in the discomfort of unhappiness, right? We are going to try to test out some things that make us uncomfortable to push us to grow, right? Because that is when we grow. When we are uncomfortable, we are growing because we are doing something new. And that is the way that you get good at something, right? And it's no different for motherhood. It's no different for, where you want to go in your life, your goals, your aspirations, what you're longing for. So get uncomfortable by scheduling a call with me, right? Like, get uncomfortable by scheduling a call to figure all of this stuff out for yourself, because that is what we do in my coaching program is we walk through getting clear on what you want and why. We figure out what your priorities are. We figure out what is making you unsettled, right? We get to the heart of that. And then we take these baby steps towards wherever it is that you want to go. But we have to peel back the layers first. And I have a process that I walk you through to do that. So if you want to go to prioritizewithpurpose.com, prioritizewithpurpose.com/coaching will take you to the page where you can sign up for a prioritization clarity call with me. And that can be the thing that you do right this week to take a step towards that uncomfortable thing that is actually going to push you where you want to go, and try to get comfortable, whatever it is. Like, I mentioned so many things in this episode. Go back and listen to them. Pick one that you can do this week to start implementing something that is going to be such a benefit for you. It's going to grow you as a mother, as a woman, and it is going to feel uncomfortable at first, but once you push through that discomfort, it will become comfortable and you will gain the benefits of everything that it brings, right? So that is my challenge for you, is to pick something to be uncomfortable with this week and do it. I would love to hear about it if you do. Until Thursday, y'all. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, Mama. If so, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts and then hit share and send this to a mom who needs this in her day. I'll meet you right here on Thursday. Keep smiling, y'all.